Hi, friends. Good morning. I am. Good morning, friends. I'm trying to figure out Facebook on how I can share my screen. I had a beautiful presentation made for you. But I will just maybe send out the PDF to whoever wants to view it later. So, this is all about authentic leadership and how to be your brand. So, first, let me just introduce myself. My name is Leanne Anderson. This is going to be a really quick, brief overview of the kind of culture that I try to cultivate in my team in terms of leadership. And I hope that it resonates with you. Good morning, Savannah. Good morning, Melissa. Um, and let me just put this on because, okay. All right, so I'm gonna not be able to share my slides, but I'm gonna be talking about it. Okay, so first, what do I mean by authentic leadership? And ultimately, that is really about becoming fully and wholly and completely yourself with the embodiment of wisdom that is informed by your inner guide within you. And so we're all on this journey of becoming authentic leaders because we don't have to have a team to be an authentic leader. Uh, we become the leaders in our lives because we are truly making choices every single day, leading ourselves and maybe our family, our children, and our sphere of influence, if you will, whether or not you're in a business. And of course, if you are running a business and being a brand partner of Young Living is qualified as such, it is so useful to understand a lot of these concepts. So it is a journey, and we're all on this journey, and it is a journey from our mind to our hearts. We start off being programmed in this world of really analyzing everything in a logical, practical way, and wanting to tick the boxes of what it means to be successful. And a lot of that has to do with accumulating wealth. Well, I invite you to think of this as a journey of prosperity, and prosperity is a flow versus an accumulation. So, this flow of prosperity is um, becoming the leader in your life and watching with curious surprise of the prosperity that flows through when you're living in such um, a way that is in alignment with your soul's purpose. So this authenticity comes from knowing yourself. And a lot of people call it inner work or, self-inquiry, self-development. Ultimately, you know yourself best, and your inner guide within you is your teacher. And the experiences in your life are your opportunities for learning. And we're all in a spiral of evolution, of coming deeper and deeper inwards to embrace that wisdom that is within us. So once we are truly embracing that wisdom, that true leader that we are is a selfless leader. Um, it has to start with self-care, has to start with self-love. Once that foundation is set, you become selfless. And selfless means that your motivations is for the greater good. And I think a lot of us are here because we want to serve, we want to be able to offer opportunities and solutions to people that we see out there that are suffering. And so that comes from this compassion within us. But can we do it in a way that is within our integrity? Can we, instead of sometimes, feeling like we need to help everyone and depleting ourselves, can we come from a place of strength and power? So ultimately, it's walking the path of example and not so much wanting to fix people even before they have asked you, right? So when we are a true example of a leader that is embodying this wisdom and thriving, trust that the people around you will notice and they will ask and they will be so curious that your example, your inspiration is what motivates them to adopt the same lifestyle. And wanted to share the attributes of a good leader. So just checking in. It's 5 a.m. Yes. Sorry for my scratchy voice. You're catching me drinking my ICP daily and my collagen. This is my everyday morning drink. And I have my energy roller right beside me. So yeah, it's still dark out there. Good morning, Janelle. Good morning, Kelowna. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's move on. What are the attributes of a leader, a good leader? So these are high frequency attributes. These are godlike attributes. These are, the types of consciousness that is benevolent, and again, for the greater good. So we start with confident generosity. What does that mean? Well, you share, you give, you are not questioning if you have enough. You're not questioning if that person deserves it. You're not questioning if, if you're being too generous, right? Of course, everything I say here, there is a balance, and that balance is what is the dynamic everyday choices that we make. And so again, your inner guide guides you. So we start with confident generosity. That is a place of abundance. That is the trusting that we are prosperous, right? And then you move into becoming an imaginative creator. What is that? That is the ability to see the solutions that are creative and outside the box, and not feeling lost, not feeling like you're powerless, knowing that you have the ability to create with your imagination any next step whenever you find yourself in a stuckness or a wall in front of you. And sometimes, trust that when there's a wall in front of you, it's a sign for you to take a turn, right? So being able to really create from this place of like water flowing down a river. You see rocks in front of you, water finds a way. Yeah. And then you're also an aligned being. What does that mean? You've heard the term, we are beings, not doings. So we're human beings, right? Not human doings. But if I was to look at humanity, I would say, actually, you know what? There are more human doings than human beings. But no, let's move back into what it means to have these. Ultimately, these are all divine feminine attributes. And we have moved into a very logical, practical world that has got us so far, but also got us into a lot of troubles. And the divine feminine within all genders need to step up and know that being aligned is being guided from within. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. Sometimes it doesn't have that practical cost and benefit that we're so tied to. But there's an integrity, right? Aligned is, think of our spine and think of yoga, think of posture, think of really breathing without obstruction. And so, what choices are you making? Are they aligned with your integrity? Are you making choices with shame, with guilt, with any of those low frequency emotions, with greed, right? Next, we then move into this heart led discernment. Okay, so all of these are connected and they are all informing every part of us. This heart led discernment is pretty much are you making choices out of generosity, gratitude, um, or love, right? Or are you making it out of greed, out of need for power, out of, again, guilt, shame, all of that? So, how to be discerning? A popular kind of meme out there is, learning how to say no, right? This is the year I learned how to say no. But again, let's shift that. Let's shift that to how can we say yes with full discernment that this is where my heart is leading me. So moving away from like what we shouldn't do or what we don't want to do versus what we truly want to do. What brings us joy? Our heart is our indicator of joy, and how can we always move to that? And all of these are amazing when we pair it with our essential oils, because essential oils from Young Living have such a beautiful frequency that we start to train our subconscious, if you will, to get to that frequency faster. And of course, a lot of that has to do with emotional wisdom. And this is a great place to say there is nothing wrong with us, there is nothing to fix. We are all on this journey, as I mentioned again, and we just keep making the choices that is in alignment, without blame, without judgment, without regret, without worry, without anxiety. And sometimes people say easier said than done, but again, will you use your energy that has been given to you to create discomfort and argue for discomfort, or will you use that energy and really call in and embody the things that feel good, right? So it's all about choices. Okay, so next is to become an activated instrument. These are all attributes of a good leader that I'm going through, the high frequency attributes, if you're just joining us. So what does it mean to be an activated instrument? Well, an instrument is pretty much something that makes music, correct? And we are musical beings. Our voice box, just me speaking now, is me being an activated instrument. I am allowing for my own knowing and perception to inform me so I can share it with you. And that's what you're doing when you are speaking to friends and you're speaking to family members who maybe don't necessarily know anything about how they too can lift their frequencies with our beloved essential oils, or they can clean their house with non-toxic Thieves Household Cleaner, or how yucky their laundry detergent is. Becoming an activated instrument is speaking from heart-led discernment, being an aligned being with our integrity, creative imagination of words we use to be so confident in our generosity and compassion of sharing what we know. And as some of you may have guessed by now, I'm moving up the chakra system, our energetic centers, and we don't even have to go into any of the esoteric knowledge. This is all relevant for us as human beings. So, coming into our ability to have unconditionally loving perception. Okay, so here we stay away from judging. We stay away from immediately jumping into negative conclusions about people. And where that happens the most for many of us is if we have a silent period from someone that we've had really good conversations with, and we were so excited that they were going to jump in with us and journey with us on this wellness lifestyle, and all of a sudden they go quiet. How many times have you found yourself just jumping into conclusions like, oh, I didn't say the right thing, or they got tired of me, or they totally hate me, I went overboard, or all of that, right? And then maybe a month later you hear from them and they go, and this is something I experienced recently, hey, my family was down, for the count for a month because each person started getting sick one after another, so sorry for the silence, I'm back and I'm excited. So this unconditionally loving perception is truly about seeing the good in everything. And as we practice these practices of adopting these high frequency attributes, we actually start to be able to tap into our intuition more and our seeing eye, of being able to see things from a higher perspective. Not so much, that judgy little side of ourselves that only see what we think is wrong with us. So to see that everyone's living in parallel universes, everyone's experiencing their own trials and tribulations. How can you fit in there as a unconditionally loving presence? Okay, and then after that, all these practices, you get to this multi-dimensional sensitivity. Well, that makes a really good leader. You know why? Because now you're able to tap into, well, first of all, guidance from the multi-dimensions, right? Absolutely within yourself, and from our plant teachers, from nature, from signs, from synchronicities. All of that is this package of being a human. And when you have that sensitivity, you start to be that activated instrument that says the things that the person in front of you was longing to hear, or was needing to hear in order to take the next step forward. You stop questioning yourself. You start trusting what comes through. You maybe, and we are humans, yeah? So all of us have felt this in one way or another in different parts of our lives. And we call it, oh, that was a miracle or it was magic. But what if we could have magic every single day? What if you could think of someone, or that someone is thinking of you? So it's sort of a back and forth calling. And then that person literally calls you, right? And she's like, hey, I was thinking of you. And you're like, wow, I just thought of you too. So things like that, synchronicity starts to happen a lot more, this multi-dimensional sensitivity. And you become this leader, and if you're for the good, a very effective leader that can be so present that you speak things that people are just wanting to hear. Okay, so moving on to your unique brand. So I am also I'm a coach and a guide and all of that, but one of the modalities I love is the Gene Keys. So I'm going to go into a little bit of that. And I recognize it's a very short presentation, so I'll be going through it pretty fast. So what's your unique brand? What does that look like? We've all been through leadership trainings. We know that, well, our brand is what we make of ourselves, what the world sees of us. Well, think of your brand as your language. Every one of us has our own language, and how we communicate with the people that are listening to us. So it is actually a real synergy of your vocation, which is the work you choose to do in this world, and your relationship to your community. And your community being the ones that resonate with what you say, what you see, what you speak, and who you are, right? You create your community. And the synergy of your work and your community and your team, if you will, is your brand. And the trick to completely becoming your brand is to embrace all parts of yourself. And I'm not talking about being vulnerable, although that's part of it, but I'm talking about truly embracing your shadows, the distortions in your programming that we all have. Surrender to that, embracing that, because those are the seeds that inform your gifts. And your gift is ultimately what your brand looks like. So what are your gifts, right? To really understand that. And the first place in which we start to recognize, who we are is what we're drawn towards, what we value, what we long for. And so to pay attention to that, because if we are drawn to plant essences, essential oils, and especially if we're drawn to young living, then there is something there that is speaking to us, that is becoming a part of us. Every time we inhale the oil, we're inviting the on the chemical side, the compounds and the molecules and all of that to enter us and to literally become a part of us. And then on the energetic side, we're inviting the essence of that plant and the blends to become part of our energy, to lift our frequency, right? So what we value, what we long for is calling us, and are we going to respond? And again, all the attributes, right, of being a good leader. Can you find discernment in that? So the last thing I'm going to talk about is what kinds of strategies, methods we can go out to the world with our brand. And so the Gene Keys, like I mentioned earlier, has this sphere of brand. So when you get your free profile on genekeys.com, you will see the sphere of brand that is your, it's under your life's work. If you want more information on this, you can always text me. So there are 6 lines, and I'll go through it very quickly. And it's so hard. I don't have my presentation for you, but I will upload it. Okay. So first line is boldness, and remember we talked about confident generosity. So boldness, and the method is security. So very simply, you are here to put people at ease. So your brand is and when you get your free profile, every one of us is a number. But truly, all these numbers are within each of us, and you probably already will resonate with one of these. And the profile, for the most part, for me anyway, was validation. It was like, I already knew this. I was already trusting my inner guidance. So if this resonates with you, you are here to put people at ease. Then this is how you communicate your brand to the world. The oil I love to use here is Valor. And so, again, boldness, security. You are here to put people at ease. There are people out there who are scared, or who don't feel safe with the brands they're using, or feel like all of a sudden are researching toxins, and you're going to say, this is how you feel safe, because this is safe. Okay, number 2, passion. And this is me, this is my line. Passion, and the method is image. So if you have this, you are here to shake the world up, to enliven, provoke, and inspire. And this is truly that all of this invokes that creative part of us, of how we actually do this, right? And it is going to be informed again by our own attributes. So the oil I use here is celebration, and it's very much about whatever image you project is you. So if you look at my social media, this is again a validation for me, because my social media, a lot of it has the substance is pretty much always about what my persona is, if you will, this a person who loves nature. Anyway, next one, humor. And the method through this is pleasure. So anyone with a third line is almost always living a life that is full of change. And it's not a bad thing. It's truly a person that can live multiple lifetimes in one lifetime. So, they can say, you can see all the ups and downs of their lives. Like they could be a millionaire in their 30s, a beggar in their 50s, and then all of a sudden successful again in their 80s. So I have an uncle who's like that, and I'm pretty sure this must be him. However, as you go through these life's lessons, you start to see the cosmic humor in all of it, because you're still here, you're still alive, but you've gone through like all of it, right? So you make people feel good about themselves through humor, through pleasure, because what is life but a way to experience laughter and pleasure? So here, the oil I love is transformation. Okay, next is your heart. Line 4 is your heart, and the method here is feelings. So people who have this line, you engender trust by telling the truth. And these people who have these line, and all of us again have some of it, are able to speak in such a way that you touch the very core of them. You allow them to feel. And when you tell the truth, they go, amen, and they want what you have. So the oil here is believe. Number 5, wisdom. So, and here is solutions. So you offer solutions to others' issues. And the ones who have number 5 is a leader archetype. You embody that wisdom. Remember we talked about wisdom earlier. And you offer solutions. You always have solutions to others' issues. And people actually listen to you because you embody that wisdom that is compassionate, and all of those attributes we talked about. So the oil here is clarity. And finally, the 6th line is vision. And the method here is education. And anyone with the 6th line, they are the ones out there educating all the time. Everyone listens to them. But the trick here, not trick, but the irony here is that you are truly educating others so they no longer need you. So there's of course, it's the shadow side of these, and we always want to move to the gift, right? The shadow side of this is, yes, I'm an educator, but I'm not going to educate you. I'm going to stop right before you don't need me, because I want you to keep needing me, because you are my source of abundance, right? Well, the beauty of our business, yes, is we're equipping people with things that they are going to be using at home. And our task is to graduate them, educate them to that graduation of when they no longer need us. And that is pretty much what's going to lead to our freedom of time, correct? So it is the very rare in today's modern business world, and we are at the forefront of revolutionizing what business looks like. And the Gene Keys has this teaching about the future of business. And when I read it, I'm like, I'm already there. We're already there. And, I don't know if any of you saw Richard Brooks' video yesterday. I would recommend you highly to go view it. Ben Riley actually posted it on his timeline. But at the end of it, he says he has a vision of Young Living becoming, and I forget the number, but billions, right? A $10 billion company. And this is why, because we are at the forefront of the revolutionizing of business. We are, if we do it right, we are embracing all the higher frequency attributes of leadership. And so I encourage you to really contemplate this. This is all about what inner guidance can you get from within. So the oil here for 6 Vision Education is Rise Above. Rise Above. So I use Rise Above in a yoga class I did on Sunday, and I went around and swiped it on their heart. And one lady told me as soon as I did that, she like burst out crying. But yes, we are all being called to rise above. So in summary, the first line can empower people. The second line can mesmerize them. The third line can tickle them. The fourth line can open them up. And the fifth line can guide them. The sixth line has the capacity to completely change a person's worldview. Okay, so this is all that I have today. I will upload the PDF so you can read along if you're watching the replay. And thank you for watching, and send me a message. Send me an email. My email, I'll drop it below, connect@leanneanderson.com. And I'm happy to answer any of your questions, or just type anything here. Hi, Charlotte. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Jill. Bye, y'all. Oh, thanks, Chris.